We are grateful to all the countries that voted in support of the draft resolution tabled by Jordan and co-sponsored by 46 countries, expressing by an overwhelming majority support for this unequivocal call for an immediate humanitarian truce, for a halt to all attacks on civilians, for the protection of civilians, for compliance with international law, including humanitarian and human rights law, including the release of all civilians held captive, and has called for immediate and unimpeded humanitarian assistance that is so desperately needed by our people in the Gaza Strip. We are one in seeking an end to the killing, the trauma and terror, the destruction. This, of course, is not something that the representative of the occupying power will ever understand. He still comes here to this world body after it has clearly spoken and said, enough bullying and inciting, trying to force everyone to accept their twisted criminal definition of the self-defense, i.e. to massacre civilians and destroy a people.
The right to self-defense, as recognized by international law and the United Nations Charter, extends to all Palestinians, including resistance movements such as Hamas, in their struggle against Israeli occupation and military aggression. Regrettably, the representative of Canada tried to whitewash Israeli aggression by shamelessly pointing fingers at Iran. Indeed, Canada persists to stay in the wrong side of history by taking sides with the darkness and by viciously supporting the military occupying regime of Israel that is brutally massacring innocent people right now. The level of hypocrisy and double standard is disgusting. Canada and the United States are complicit in the crimes of Israel, and they must be held to account before history.
South Africa urges the United Nations to impose an arms embargo on all parties involved in this conflict, given the nature of the death and destruction we are witnessing every day. The actions of Hamas since 7 October this year included war crimes and must be investigated, just as the heinous war crimes, crimes against humanity and genocide perpetrated by the Israeli forces must be investigated.
La adopción de la resolución, protección de los civiles y cumplimiento.
Mr. President, our delegation voted in favor of the draft resolution that we just voted on at the General Assembly because it primarily aims to stop the barbaric Israel war machine. It calls for an immediate halt of this aggression and to the delivery of humanitarian aid, rejecting the forced eviction of Palestinians at this meeting.
I thank the distinguished representative of... Это не победа какой-либо национальной позиции. Это не победа какой-либо национальной позиции. Это победа здравого смысла, справедливости, соображений гуманизма.
This is not the victory of a national position. This is a position of common sense and justice and humanism. This is a clear reflection of the enormous concerns about the peaceful citizens of Israel in Gaza. That's something that joins us all. This resolution is less than what we could and must do for them. The outcome of the voters showed once again that the responsibility of the international community is. And against the backdrop of the tragedy taking place in Gaza and the Middle East, it is time not to put forward any types of hypocritical interests. This is necessary to send a signal, unified, single to end violence, and to move and to come back to peaceful negotiations at an appropriate UN fora.
Необходимо послать единый, четкий сигнал о необходимости скорейшего прекращения насилия, возвращения переговоров к мирным переговорам на одобренной ООН платформе,
Colombia votó a favor de esta resolución uniéndose a la amplia mayoría.
So Colombia voted in the favor of this resolution, joining the broad majority that agreed and reaffirming the call for a ceasefire and for the unlimited respect for international humanitarian law and the protection of life, in accordance with the resolution which we have just adopted. The violence only produces more violence and more loss of life, and leaving in its wake an unfortunate and nefarious legacy for future generations.
Para las generaciones futuras.
The meeting is adjourned.